Greetings, Divine Ones. Welcome to Soul Empowered Living. My name is Ebony Shalom, and I have, over the last 20 years, been working on myself. And when I was 20, my whole journey into self kicked off. Like a lot of us here in Earth Realm, our spiritual journeys can quite often come from circumstances that crack our heart open and energetically jolt us out of the reality that we have always known. I had a choice whether or not I would continue to cycle those heartfelt experiences of excruciating pain and annihilation of my entire reality as I knew it, or if I would choose to create a new reality from understanding through compassion and asking the questions to the universal creator and to myself so that I could create peace inside of me. For anybody that doesn't know me, I've not really shared where my story started. When I was 20, we had a family friend that would come around and visit my mum. And on this particular day, I left my 3-year-old son with my mum. And she went down to the shops and left my son with this particular person that had been friends with the family for nearly 20 years. There was no reason to doubt the situation or him, except for when I came back to collect him, he was being driven down to this man's house. The man saw me and came back around the roundabout. And when my son got out of the car, he had been crying and looked petrified. From this point, I was able to unravel what had happened in my mum's house. And I don't even want to think about what would have happened if I didn't pull up when I did and prevent him from going to that man's house. My world in that moment and everything that I knew to be true about the world fell away. My heart shattered as my son told me what had happened. And the safety and security in the world no longer was felt. There was nobody to turn to. And the different services that I went to were unable to assist me to remove the pain and the anguish and the excruciating reality that had just entered my realm for my son and I. It was the most disempowering moment of my life to know that my son had been hurt, to know he had been sexually abused, and to know that in that moment, I felt that I had failed as a mother. I had one job, and that was to keep him safe. And in the moments that, or the months that followed after that, I had to really go within to find a reason to stay here in Earth Realm. That was what kicked the journey off for me. And the unconditional love that I have for my son and that I found for myself and the world around me is what has allowed me to understand the universal nature that exists within all of us and that we have been created from. And from experiencing that pain that shattered every particle of my being and understanding of life to the point where I was able to reset my entire blueprint and channel an energy from that divine blueprint into my physical realm through the choices that I made from that point of knowing what had happened forward. Because I chose from love and understanding and compassion, I was able to keep the flow going through me. I asked questions and I asked for help. I screamed with all that I had for somebody out there to come and assist on earth, because we had a problem here, and that problem was that innocence was being stolen by hands that knew better. And I didn't know how to fix it, and I didn't know how to stop the pain that was being created from it. And I used my heart and my soul to scream out to whoever was listening, the angels from the divine realms, the universal creator, any galactic beings, anyone that could give me a reason to be here and continue on and show me how I could help this situation, this crisis we had. I also needed to understand how I could stop the pain inside of my heart that was rippling through every cell and fiber of my body. As a mum, it would have been easy for me to continue to find things in the world that would bury this pain. But that really wasn't my nature. It wasn't in my nature to do that. I've always been somebody that has wanted to personally develop and understand the why. And I thank my mum for allowing me to always ask why. And it was because of those questions and asking why, but why, and getting to the core of the reason that things were like they were, that I was able to see through that compassion or understand through that compassion. It didn't happen overnight. To start with, I was probably plotting really horrible things to prevent that man from going and hurting anyone else. And And I think the worst part of this situation, and anybody else that has gone through that, is the innocence that it takes from your own mind. When you know that these things have happened, they play over and over in your head, and they change who you are. And so for the first year or two, I had to fight my own mind to come back into a place where I wasn't seeing horrible things or thinking about the horrible things that I'd never had to think about before. It was like a living nightmare, but I wasn't asleep. And it was through the quest to understand how I could bring myself back into a peaceful state and eradicate those thoughts that were not created from me, because I had not experienced those things. It was through asking the questions and going within, and first and foremost, being able to understand and forgive myself. Because even though I understand now, but I had to move through this situation to get to the point where I understood that it wasn't my fault. I am not responsible for other people's actions. And once I realized that, I recognized that even though I couldn't trust anything or anyone in the world, I could trust myself. I could trust myself to make choices for my son and for me that would keep us safe. And that was the first part of the journey, and saying yes to it, that allowed for me to open up these gateways to the dimensions within. With that came a surrender to all that is, was, and will be. I had no idea where to from here. I had no idea what to do about what had happened. And I had no idea about how to fix it. And I had become so exhausted in my physical and emotional and mental bodies that I just had to let it all go. And I went within and I asked to be shown why. Why do I need to be here? Why is the world the way that it is? Why are people hurting others when they have been through things? And instead of choosing not to hurt others, they continue it on. And it was through that recognition and understanding of how cycles continue that I was able to consciously become aware